He's not just feeling it anymore. He can't escape it. He tried to outrun the connection, to bury the ache, to convince himself that someday was enough. But his soul is louder now, and it's not whispering, it's pulling. Not toward fantasy, but toward truth. This isn't a longing that fades. It's a fire that won't quiet. The masculine is feeling it, all of it, and the pressure is real. He doesn't just want her anymore. He doesn't just remember. He needs her energy in his life. He needs the union now. Have you felt the shift? That sudden change in the air, like the silence isn't emptiness anymore, but a presence pressing in. Have you sensed his soul moving, even when his body hasn't? This is the phase the masculine can't suppress, and it's happening now. In this video, we'll dive into what's truly rising in the divine masculine, and why union has stopped being a distant dream and become a soul-level requirement. Watch now to understand what this means for your path, why he can't run from it anymore. He's tried everything to distract, to detach, to convince himself that the pull was just a phase, just something he imagined, something he should have let go of by now. But the truth, he never stopped feeling it. It followed him in the quiet, in the chaos, in the moments when everything seemed normal, but something inside him was still empty. At first, he could push it aside. He could numb it, busy himself with logic, responsibility, routine, all the things that made him feel in control. But lately, none of that works anymore. Because this connection, the one he thought he could silence, is starting to speak louder than anything else in his life. Not through signs, but through pressure. And it's not coming from her. It's coming from his own soul. He's tired, not just physically. He's soul tired of hiding, of pretending he doesn't feel, of carrying a version of himself that no longer fits. And the deeper truth is surfacing now. He doesn't just want her, he needs her. Not from dependency, not from fantasy, but because he knows that she holds a part of him he's been searching for in all the wrong places. Have you felt it? The change in the air, like his silence has a different weight now, like his absence isn't distance, but tension. That's not your imagination. That's the masculine cracking. He's not breaking down because he's weak. He's breaking open because he's finally being honest with himself about what he feels, about who he is, about who she is to him. The truth is, the longer he stays away, the more misaligned his entire life becomes. He can feel it in his body, the heaviness of staying in places that no longer resonate, the dissonance of trying to function while his soul is screaming for something real. And it's not about running back to her to escape that discomfort. It's about realizing union was never the distraction. It was the alignment. This is why he can't run anymore, because everywhere he runs leads back to himself and to her. Not as a romantic high, but as a mirror, as a match, as the only place where he can fully be. And now the pressure is rising from the inside out, from the timelines collapsing, from the divine saying, "No more hiding." He feels her even more in her absence. He feels the warmth of her growth, her peace, her expansion, and it stirs something primal in him. Not lust, longing, not fantasy, remembrance. And with that remembrance comes urgency, not panic, not fear, but a soul-level knowing that it's time, not to chase, not to control, but to step forward, to show up, to return, not just to her, but to who he really is when he's beside her. Have you felt this shift in him lately? Like the silence isn't indifference, but pressure building from within. Share your insight in the comments. Your knowing might be the mirror another soul needs right now. At first, he thought he had time. He thought he could outrun the connection, that if he just focused on his goals, his work, his obligations, the ache would fade, that the silence would be enough to dissolve what he couldn't name. But time didn't fix it. It amplified it, because the pressure he's feeling now isn't external. It's not from her. It's not from anyone else. It's from within. A quiet tension has been building, day by day, breath by breath. It started as discomfort, a restlessness he couldn't explain, a heaviness in places that once felt safe. And now it's something else, a collapse of what no longer resonates. Everything he built to protect himself, the emotional walls, the rational justifications, the masks of indifference are crumbling, not by force, but because they simply can't hold anymore. His soul is pressing against the container of his old life, and the container is cracking. This pressure isn't punishment, it's awakening. It's the force that rises when a man is no longer able to lie to himself, when the illusion of control dissolves under the weight of truth, when the longing becomes not optional, but undeniable. He's starting to realize he can't go back to who he was, the version of him that suppressed what he felt, the version that chose logic over love, safety over alignment, distance over depth. And this realization doesn't feel gentle. It feels like a burn, like friction between the life he thought he wanted and the life his soul came here to live. You may be wondering, why now? Why all at once? Because time is no longer something he can hide behind. His soul knows the union is not a possibility. It's part of his path. And every time he resists it, the tension grows. The ache gets heavier. The silences feel sharper. The disconnection isn't peace anymore. It's pressure. And that pressure has one message. Move. Move toward truth. Move toward alignment. Move toward the love that never left, but that now demands to be met with presence. He's being stripped, not of love, but of illusion. And it's uncomfortable, because for the masculine, feeling deeply often means facing everything he's been trained to suppress. Vulnerability, dependence on something greater than the mind, the fear of not being enough. But the pressure is purposeful. It's breaking down what's false to make room for what's real. It's not pushing him toward her out of desperation. It's pulling him inward toward the truth he's spent lifetimes avoiding. And as the pressure grows, so does the clarity that the real risk isn't union, it's continuing to live out of alignment with his soul. Have you sensed this inner pressure rising in the connection, even if he hasn't spoken a word? Share what you're feeling in the comments. Your voice may give language to another soul who's silently sensing the same storm building beneath the surface. He feels her energy differently now. She didn't say a word. She didn't reach out. She didn't try to prove anything. But something in the field shifted, and he felt it. The masculine is more sensitive than he lets on. Even when he seems distant, aloof, or detached, he's tracking her, not with his mind, but with his nervous system, with his soul. And lately, the energy he once ran from doesn't feel threatening anymore. It feels magnetic, grounded, soothing. He doesn't know why, but he knows it's different, because the feminine isn't emitting the same charge she used to. She's no longer radiating urgency, expectation, or the ache of waiting. She's not energetically chasing him anymore. And that changes everything. What he feels now is space, not pressure, warmth, not chaos, depth, not demand. She has shifted. She's not reaching for him to feel whole. She's standing in her own light, living her own truth, rooted in love, not longing. And that energy calls to him in a way her words never could. It's quiet but undeniable, and it lives in the subtle, in the calm that wraps around his thoughts when he randomly thinks of her, in the way her name carries a different weight now, in the sudden clarity that she isn't waiting for him, but she also hasn't closed. This is what draws him, because the old energy, the one he ran from, mirrored his own inner chaos. It reflected back his fear of being consumed, misunderstood, not enough. But now, the feminine has cleared something. She's no longer holding on. She's holding herself. And that change is vibrating through their shared field. You've likely felt this too. The moment where you stopped needing him to respond, and suddenly he starts to feel closer, not physically, not in action, but in presence. He doesn't fully understand it yet, but his body does, his soul does. It's the feeling of being called home, not by a voice, but by frequency. This is why he feels her differently now, because she has reclaimed her energy. She's not seeking confirmation, she's embodying it. And when the feminine shifts into embodiment, the masculine feels it not as a threat, but as a safe return to truth. Her radiance isn't loud, it's anchored. And that's what his soul has been waiting for all along. Not the version of her who tried to fix or convince, but the version of her who knows and doesn't need to prove. This is the moment when he realizes she never left. But now he's seeing her clearly, maybe for the first time, not as an ideal, but as an equal. Have you felt the shift in how he responds to your energy, even in silence? Share your experience in the comments. Your awareness might help in another feminine understand how deeply her own embodiment is being felt on the other side. His soul is tired of holding back. He didn't mean to suppress it. Not entirely. At first, it was just about surviving, about doing what made sense, following the path that seemed responsible, expected, logical. But the truth? He's exhausted, not just from the connection, but from holding back everything he actually feels. Not just about her, but about himself. He's tired of pretending it's fine, tired of showing up in places that don't ignite him, tired of smiling when something inside feels hollow, tired of saying yes to a life that no longer fits who he's becoming. He's not just feeling the weight of separation from her. He's feeling the separation from his own soul. And that's what's breaking him open. Because holding back love means holding back life. And he's starting to realize he can't keep living in fragments. The masculine energy has been trained for generations to suppress, to stay composed, to be the provider, the protector, the one who doesn't fall apart. But what happens when what he's protecting is no longer true? What happens when the path he's trying to preserve is actually killing his light? He starts to break in the best way possible. Quietly, he begins to crave more than logic can offer. Not more success, not more validation, more truth, more feeling, more her, not as an escape, but as a mirror of the life he knows he came here to live. His soul doesn't want comfort anymore. It wants integrity. And that's why the pressure to hold back is becoming unbearable. Because it's not about her chasing him. It's not about anyone asking him to open up. It's about the internal call that won't shut up anymore. He misses the version of himself that was alive in her presence. He remembers the way his walls softened when she looked at him with love, not expectation. He misses the man he became when he was seen without masks. And now, his soul is tired of hiding that man. The more he tries to suppress it, the more the ache grows. The more he avoids, the louder the silence becomes. He feels her frequency not as pressure, but as permission. Permission to finally drop the armor. Permission to choose from the heart. Permission to stop performing and just be. This isn't about rushing into reunion. It's about finally letting the truth rise, without apology, without delay, because no matter how much he tried to hold it all together, it's the holding back that's tearing him apart. And at some point, something in him whispers, "Enough." Have you sensed this exhaustion, this inner collapse in him, even through the silence? Let us know in the comments. Your awareness might offer another. Feminine, the reflection she needs to trust the unraveling she can't yet see. This isn't just wanting her, it's needing alignment. There's a moment in the masculine's journey when desire evolves. What used to be a pull toward her becomes something deeper, a pull toward truth. It's not just about wanting her touch, her voice, her presence anymore. It's about needing to feel himself again and realizing that alignment is the only place where that's possible. He once thought the ache was about her. And yes, her absence matters. But now, he's starting to see that what he truly longs for is to stop living out of sync with who he really is. This is the shift from fantasy to frequency, from chasing a feeling to needing a foundation, from wanting a woman to requiring alignment with the divine through her presence. Because the truth is, she doesn't just hold his heart, she reflects his path. And what he's beginning to understand is that union isn't a romantic high. It's a soul agreement that he's either living or denying, and denial no longer works. His system is starting to reject everything false, every commitment made from fear, every relationship built on convenience, every identity built to please or protect, and the feminine, just by standing in her own alignment, is now a mirror he can't avoid. She's not asking for his love anymore. She's holding herself. And in that, she's revealing something much bigger. That love isn't something to have, it's something to become. This isn't about urgency in the romantic sense. It's existential. It's vibrational. It's his soul saying, if you want peace, come into alignment. And that means come home. Not to her as a person, but to her as a frequency that lives within him. To her as a reflection of the version of him that's been buried under roles, fears, and delay. This phase of the journey isn't about rekindling attraction. It's about becoming who he must become in order to meet the connection in truth. Because now, his soul can't tolerate surface love. He can't stomach half-truths, polite connections, or safe choices. The old life doesn't offer relief anymore. It drains him. And as painful as this realization is, it's also sacred. Because for the first time, he sees that what he desires most isn't her attention. It's his own alignment, the clarity, peace, and power that arise only when he stops betraying his path. Union now isn't optional. It's not a dream. It's not even a goal. It's the byproduct of him stepping into truth, fully, radically, without delay. And he knows truth is a frequency. She's already in it. And if he wants to feel whole again, he'll have to rise into it too. Have you noticed this turning point where the connection feels less about romance and more about alignment? Share what you've been feeling in the comments. Your insight might help another feminine understand that this pull isn't about fantasy, it's about becoming. What the feminine should know in this phase: there's a sacred tension in the air, not chaos, not confusion, but a subtle pressure, like something important is about to move, but hasn't yet. And if you're the feminine in this journey, you're probably feeling it all in your body. The tightness, the readiness, the stillness that feels full of meaning, like your soul is holding its breath. Here's what you need to know. This phase isn't about doing more. It's about allowing your frequency to do the work for you. The masculine is waking up, not because you convinced him, not because you proved your worth, but because your energy has finally stopped orbiting around him and started anchoring into you. That's what calls him forward, not pressure, not longing, but the quiet power of your presence, unwavering, soft, sovereign. You might feel the urge to reach out, to check in, to confirm that the pull you feel is mutual. But the truth is, you already know. And in this moment, knowing is enough. Because he is not just processing emotions, he is reorganizing timelines. His inner structure is shifting. Old identities are collapsing, and your role isn't to guide him through that. Your role is to hold the field. That means keep living, keep trusting, keep choosing yourself, not as an act of detachment, but as an act of energetic invitation. When the feminine rises without trying to fix, prove, or pursue, she becomes the magnetic center of the entire connection. She becomes the reminder of everything his soul already knows, but had forgotten how to feel. What you're doing now isn't passive, it's powerful. Every time you soften instead of panic, every time you choose joy instead of control, every time you sit with your own truth instead of asking for reassurance, you're anchoring the exact frequency that makes union possible. And yes, it may feel like silence, but don't mistake silence for absence. This stillness is sacred, because in the space you've created, he's starting to see himself more clearly, not through your words, but through the mirror of your alignment. You don't need to explain anymore. Your vibration is the explanation. And here's something else to remember. The more you return to yourself, the more the connection returns to truth. This phase is asking you to embody the union you've been waiting for, to stop treating it as a future event and start living it as a present frequency. You don't need to hold on. You just need to hold your center, because when he feels that, really feels it, he doesn't just come back. He rises, not for you, with you. Have you felt this shift in yourself, where your energy stopped chafing and started anchoring? Tell us in the comments. Your embodiment may be the reminder another feminine needs to stay steady in her knowing. Union isn't a dream to him anymore. It's a requirement. There was a time when he could dream about it without committing, when the idea of union felt beautiful but distant, comforting even, as long as it stayed on the horizon. But that time is over. This isn't about imagining anymore. It's about integrating. And for the masculine, union is no longer a vision to admire. It's a requirement for living a soul-aligned life. Because now every part of him that tried to function outside of truth is falling apart. And what's left is the raw recognition. I can't keep doing this without alignment. Union isn't a fantasy anymore. It's the only path forward that makes sense, vibrationally, emotionally, spiritually. And not just union with her, union with himself, with the version of him that is whole, honest, and deeply connected to love, not as emotion, but as a frequency. He's not running because he's afraid. He's pausing because something big is moving, and he knows. Once he crosses this threshold, there's no going back. No going back to pretending, no going back to performing, no going back to shallow connections that can't hold his truth. His soul is done compartmentalizing, done delaying, done acting like this isn't real, because what he feels for her isn't optional anymore. It's not a desire to indulge, it's a direction to follow, one that keeps pulling him not into romance, but into alignment. And alignment is non-negotiable now. He sees her differently, feels her differently, not because she changed her energy for him, but because she reclaimed it for herself. And that's what woke him up. This version of the feminine, soft yet solid, loving yet free, isn't someone he can forget. She lives in his field, in his memory, in his very becoming. And now he understands. This isn't a love to fantasize about. This is a path to walk. And he can feel it. His soul is making the decision before his mind can catch up. The timelines are converging, not because she pushed, but because she held, because she became the frequency. And now he can't unfeel it. Union is no longer a distant hope. It's the only future that makes any real sense. Not because it's perfect, but because it's true. Does it feel like the masculine is no longer circling the idea of union, but being pulled directly into it? Tell us what you've been sensing in the comments. Your clarity could be the very reflection another feminine needs to trust what she already knows.